go full swing. Is online learning, what is it? Then blended and hybrid learning, what is it? And then technology enhanced learning, what is it? What is it? This document that I'm referring to um, um, defines online learning as web-based instructional models that are mediated by the internet with no physical face-to-face interaction between instructors and students. Web-based instructional models that are mediated by the internet with no physical face-to-face interaction between instructors and students. I hope it's very clear.
Yes.
Okay. You know that hitherto, the education that we all are familiar with has been face to face. I mean, you want to go to school, you pack your bag, and you go to school, right? But we used to say, well, even if you are working or whatever you are doing, if God is calling you, resign and do what? And go to school. You know, pack your bag. Sometimes you have to pack up your family, everybody go to school and study, go there and learn. You know, but things are changing and things are changed. Now you can start and finish a program without leaving your house. Without leaving your house. And you could study in a school that is located in China from the comfort of your office or your bedroom. And you can actually study with students from the different continents of the world at the same time. And it won't even be like, okay, you come in and go. You can meet in class with them at the same time. And you will have the feel of being in one room with all of them. Someone in Australia, in Canada, in the United States, in Germany, in China, in Russia, in Israel. At the same time, you have the feel something very close to what we are feeling, gathering here even this morning. That's the miracle that has happened with online learning. Okay, because it's carried on the web, it's transmitted on the web, and so that's what online learning is. And when we are talking about online learning, we're using it to define fully online programs. Programs you can start and finish without going anywhere. It does not have a face-to-face component. And I don't know whether Professor Ndoku will remember. In Nairobi in October, we met a man, I can't remember that his name. He was the former General Secretary of ADA, the one that handed over to the president there. And he did his PhD with SATS. SATS is South Africa Theological Seminary. By the way, SATS is, I would say they are the first school in Africa to run fully online. But that's what they do. They don't have face-to-face programs. Everything is online. So he did his PhD with SATS, and he has never met his supervisor. His dissertations, he doesn't know him. If he sees him on the road, he will never recognize him. Till today, and he did that program like 10, 15 years ago. He has used that PhD to serve as the executive secretary of AEA, Association of Evangelicals in Africa, and he has used it to work in different places. And yet he hasn't met his dissertation supervisor face to face before, not once. And that's the miracle of online learning. That's not where we are coming from. That's where we are going. Okay, so that's online learning. But then you also have blended learning or hybrid learning. Two words we use to use the same, either blended or hybrid. And the active document defines this as an instructional model that combines face-to-face instruction with periods of online or other modes of distance learning. There's a combination going on in hybrid of learning. And this is where most of our schools in Nigeria or in Africa are at the moment. We have shifted, we have made progress, but we are now at blended or hybrid learning. Even though the seminary last year started a fully online program, but it's just 4 programs we started. And four specializations, masters and PhD levels. But much of what we are doing is still blended or hybrid. In other words, a program where some part of it is done face to face, and some part of it is done online. It's done online. And this is a great advantage. As we go on, we're going to see great many advantages that it holds. But this is a great opportunity that we have to do. In other words, the student does not have to come and stay in school for 4 full years. They can spend 1 year and do the rest from home, or spend 2 years, do the rest from home, or spend a semester, do the rest from home, or maybe come a week to school, take classes, go back, complete the course online, and all. There is so many things are possible today. So many things are possible. In fact, the more I think about it, it just occurs to me that in the next 30 years, in fact, when I had this statement the first time was in 2012 or 2013, when a professor told us that in the next 50 years, schooling will change as we know it. COVID had not happened. COVID was still like 7 years away. What he said that time as prophecy has come to pass less than 10 years. Less than 10 years. He didn't even know about that COVID was going to happen. But COVID has made it happen fast. So a time is coming when all these gigantic structures that we are building on our campuses, there are no students to use them. And that is the truth. That is the truth. So the earlier that we migrate, the better for us. If we are thinking about institutional sustainability and sustainability of ministerial training and preparation, we have to just migrate in our mind. There has to be a shift right away. Because the time is coming when, 2 years ago, I can't remember the school now in the US, a very popular school that advertised their campus for sale. I can't remember the name right now. Maybe after during break I'll find it. A very prominent school. They put up their campus for sale because their students have gone online. Why would they not be maintaining structures that nobody is using? They still have the students, but they are now online. They are not out of business. It's just that the mode of business has what? So that's the reality of the moment. So an institution that is smart will now be focusing on putting up buildings that will generate funds from different other angles, or doing things that will bring in income from other means, not necessarily building hostels. A time will come when, if you have just one block of hostel, you can use it for the same number of students that you have today. Only that they will not be in school at the same time. Some will come in January and go, others will come in February and go. Others, the same facility will serve everybody that you have right now. Those things are possible, and that's where we are headed. And so everybody needs to think ahead and shift mindset. We are still going to be in business. We'll still be doing the same thing we are doing, but the mode is going to change. And that's where we are going. And If we don't change as individuals, we will just put ourselves out of job. Because when your students go online and you cannot do online education, you have put yourself out of it. That's your problem. So, but right now, many of us are at blended and hybrid learning, and we don't know how long we will stay here. But then we need to catch up so that when the full online begins, we will not be found lagging. What is technology enhanced theological education? The document defines it as open, that is, overcomes the barriers of time, of distance, of age, of place, of pace, of space, etc. And may take place online only or combined with on-site work. Okay, so technology is on a fast pace, and bringing it into theological education is just to harness the advantages of technology for us to do better what we are doing. This classroom now, what's the maximum number of students this classroom can accommodate? Conveniently, if you want to think in terms of educational
30.
about
Look at the number of us who are here. It's about 20.
the room is almost full. Yeah, conveniently.
25.
Conveniently.
For space.
Conveniently. But this discussion that we are having now, we can accommodate 100 people if we are online, or if we are combining online. Okay, so you increase the number of participants, you make it easier for people to participate from where they are without having to travel. If it's an international conference, many international conferences today are done online. You don't have to go look for visa or buy a ticket, or you don't need all those hurdles anymore. And you can still get what you would have gotten if you have traveled physically. And so it's just a miracle of our time that we have all of these available. But we are going to say much more as we go on. Alright, the presentation focuses on helping faculty prepare for effective online teaching and research, both at undergraduate and postgraduate levels. So where are we coming from? We are coming from the residential face-to-face only theological education. Okay? That's where we are coming from. I remember back in the day, the first time I came to Ogumasho was in 91. When I came there for my CTH. And it was not easy to travel to Ogumasho from Owerri. Was tough. The distance, but each time we travel, even till now, anytime I travel, I'm like, this road is not getting shorter. I thought that maybe with frequent traveling, the distance will reduce, but it doesn't reduce, it's still there. If anything, it takes longer time because of the bad road. Yes, you understand that. Because of the condition of the road. But I was sharing with somebody the other day. There was a day, because remember that time in January we used to start the semester on January 4th. Okay, our students that are enjoying, they don't know. So I will go to the village for Christmas, and then we will have the New Year. And then, as New Year celebrations were going on, I will be packing my bag. And people were asking me, where are you going? I said, I have to go back. They are like, what kind of a school is that? New Year Day, January 1, you are packing. And in the East, for that matter, all the goodies, the rice, everything is going on. Celebrations going on, you're packing your bag. What kind of a school is that? Why was I packing on the first? Because I have to go to the town on the first. So that early morning on the second, I have to be on my way to home in order to be in class on the third. There was a particular year I cannot forget. We came out around 5 a.m. after we were on the 2nd of January, and there were no buses. Because these drivers have walked all around. They have walked all around during the Christmas period. Once it's New Year, they mark their mission. On 2nd of January, there was no vehicle coming to Lagos in the whole of Owerri, and I'm not kidding. So we had to wait and wait until around 10. The bus came from Aba. It was going to Lagos. We were supposed to stop at Ijebu, and it was fully loaded already. They used to have this attachment, this small seat that they do. You put it on the aisle of the bus. These luxury buses. That one was also full. All the attachments were filled up. So the driver said to us, the bus is full. If you can stand, you are free to enter. We had no option. We had to enter the bus. We paid. It wasn't free. And I stood from Owerri to Ijebu. I can't forget that experience. Just because I had to be in school on the 3rd of January. But actually, in online education, I don't need to worry my head about all of that. So you can be doing your eating and drinking, and I'm in my room, I'm taking my class. When I'm done, I come out and join you. So a lot has changed. But where we are coming from is from this residential, face-to-face only. You have to leave everything you were doing, like Jesus would say, leave your father and your mother, and your sister, your wife and your children, and follow me. All right, but things are shifting and to the hybrid mode, which is where we are now. And I believe that almost all our theological schools are combining some element or level of online to what they're doing. And then we're going to the online mode. Several people have already migrated to the online mode. And some other institutions around the world have their face-to-face, and then they have streams that run online fully. Some are combining it still. But all of that will go on, I believe, for some time. And then over time, maybe every institution is going to have more fully online than even the hybrid. And the face-to-face might become virtually non-existent. Virtually not, because nobody will even think about it again. Be like, what am I going to be going there to do for 4 years? And but then when you say, okay, come for a month, you say, okay, I can do that. Or come for 2 months, I can do that. So that's where we are coming from, and that's where we are going. But we still do have challenges. We still do have challenges. Unfortunately for us, our leaders are not helping us very much. In terms of the infrastructure and the things that we need to really take advantage of technology, they are not helping. We are slow in developing these things. And even 4 years after COVID, we are still struggling with the issue. We have problem with the gadgets. We have a problem with the gadgets. As things are now, if you want to really make the most of online education, you will need a laptop. As a tutor, you will need a laptop. As a student, you also will need a laptop. As things are now, even a tablet will not be very effective for you. It will not do many things. Maybe in the future we will get there. I know that there are projects going on how we can bring all of what the laptop is giving us to an Android phone. But we are not there yet. There are many things, like if you have a learning management system, most of them will not run effectively on the phone. They may not even run effectively on a tab. You need a laptop to have the full access and accessories that you need. Even though you can do a lot with those other ones. So, but the number one challenge that we have is availability of laptops. Laptops have even become more costly because of the high cost of things. My laptop was giving me some issues last year, and I cried to God. I said, God, don't let it be that it is now I will buy a laptop because I can't even think about that. But they were able to. And so laptops are costly, but you need a laptop, and it's a benchmark really in my view. You need internet availability, and I think that we have made some progress as a nation in that area. Although in the last 2 or 3 months, it's like our networks are misbehaving. Even on call, there are problems. Somebody was saying in our church 2 weeks ago that all the good guys in these networks have traveled out. And what they have there now are rookies. They don't know how to manage the whole thing. And somebody that is in technology, so I believe he knew what he was talking about. So that's why in recent times there have been too many downtimes. Whether you are using Glo or MTN, all of them, the good guys have all gone. And that's part of the challenge that we have. So, but with the networks providing internet, if you can get or find out the network that is strong in the area where you live and work, Glo is good in some places. MTN is good in some places. What's the name of the other one? Airtel may be good in some places, some parts of the east and Lagos. Airtel is strong. So find out the one that works where you are and manage, see what you can manage to get access to the things that you need. Steady power supply. Again, that's another issue. We don't know how to handle that one. And diesel and fuel has gone up. Whether on campus or where the students are, because in online education, you think of the institution, you also think of the students. Because the students have to be able to connect, to be able to see what you are doing and to follow what you are doing. And then there's the issue of capacity. Capacity on the part of faculty, capacity on the part of students. And I think this retreat is organized part of to partly address the issue of capacity for faculty. And capacity exists at 2 or 3 different levels. There is the technical capacity, how to navigate, how to use the gadgets, and all of that. That's the technical part. But there is also the part of capacity that deals with how do you migrate from face-to-face teaching to online teaching, being able to achieve the same objectives you were achieving face-to-face, being able to achieve them online. That's another level of the capacity. And that's the part that we are focusing on for our discussion this morning. Some technical parts we can answer if there are issues that come up in that regard. But let me just make a comment about this. And this is what I have discovered. You will know or you will discover that our children find it easy to manipulate these things. True or false? Okay? Even a 4-year-old boy or girl, just get your Android phone, give it to him or her the first time. Before you know it, what they will do on the phone, you that has been handling that phone for you have not you will not have handled it before. Why is it so? Well, they say they are digital citizens. We are migrants. We were analog citizens and trying to migrate to digital. You know. But I also find two things. And I'm mentioning this so that perhaps it can help. I also find two things that are issues we are struggling with. Excuse me. One of them is issue of time. You don't have the time to really stay with this thing, to explore it. You don't have the time. And if you really want to learn it, you need to create the time. And I'm telling you that if you give this thing time, you will learn it. You are smarter than you think. I'm telling you. Honestly, each of us is smarter when it comes to this technology that we think. It's just that we have not given it what? Time. Time. If you really create time and stay with it, Windows is very easy to use. They say Windows was done for fools. Because when you take your cursor to one corner of this thing, once you just don't click anything, put it there. It will tell you whether it's closed or open or saved. Abi?
Yes.
So it already tells you what it is. So you know what you are clicking. It's not for dull people. Any dull person can handle it. It's like driving. You don't know you can drive until you start driving. You don't know you can type until you start learning it and start typing. That's how life is. So let's try to create time to stay with this. The second problem or challenge I find is the willingness to explore. Some of us are afraid, maybe because you took a loan to buy the phone, you don't want to spoil it. You don't want to press something that will scatter the phone. But our children don't care. They are not the ones who bought the phone. They don't know how much you bought it. So they will just press anything. And in the process of pressing it, they will find out how it works. So be willing to explore. Some of us have Android phone, and maybe the only thing you have done with it is make a call and send SMS. Why did you buy an Android phone now? You should have gone to buy a Balasa phone. It's cheaper. Why did you waste money? 60,000, 70,000, buy an Android.
Before 60,000 naira phone before it's now 210,000.
Really?
Eh,
And then you spend all that money and buy it. Only thing you are doing is to make a call. So explore your phone, explore your gadget, your laptop. Let's use it. The more you use it, the more you learn. If you do something it doesn't work, no problem. At least you know what does not work. And when you do it and it works, you have learned something. That's why I learned the computer. I didn't pay anybody money to learn it. I just anything I don't understand, I will call somebody, I will show somebody. And when they will show me, I will pick from it. So I learned on my own. So I learned online. So that's the way to do this thing. So create a time and then be willing to explore. You will find that these things are not. And another thing, maybe before I leave there, I've used many management systems. And Moodle, for instance, has different versions. And there are others. But I discovered that if you know how to create an email message, if you know how to go to Yahoo or Gmail, create an email message and send it to somebody, you already have the technical ability to use Moodle. You don't believe me?
Come again.
Okay, I said anyone who has the ability to send an email. You know, email is very simple, isn't it? Open your Google, your Gmail, or your Yahoo Mail, and you type a message, put an email address, click send. If you can do that, you already have the technical ability to use a learning management system. You already do. You already do. I was talking to our people in the seminary the other day. But I called Dr. Gore from my office. I said, "See, we are using Moodle. But the Moodle template we are using is too complicated." I showed him another template, Moodle template. I said, "Can we make our template this simple?" Because Moodle did it for general usage. There are so many things there you don't need. In fact, what you need there is like 2 or 3 items. So all you need is in that template, you delete what you don't need. All you need is how to attach a note, attach a video, attach a file, and it's the same way you attach something to an email. It's exactly the same thing, believe me. Exactly the same thing. So if you delete all those items that you really don't need, you don't need them at all in our own setup, then anybody that can send an email message can even develop their own course on Moodle by themselves. Maybe at the end, if we have time and if you are interested, I can show you a sample of what I'm talking about. So in terms of capacity, most of us already have some rudimentary ability to start. What we need is to create the time and to have the hunger, the willingness to explore, and then you will just find yourself doing much more than what you are doing right now. How do you overcome the challenges? Well, the personal computer, like I said, you just have to get a laptop. You cannot be a tutor in an online program without a laptop. It's not possible. There's a limit to what you can do with your phone, a limit to what you can do with your tablet. The laptop is important. And so if you can save up to buy one, fine. There may be some fairly used laptops that may be cheaper, fine. Maybe we can arrange a loan, fine. Or maybe we can do bulk purchase. Whatever can be done, you will need a laptop to be able to do well in online learning. You can work with what you have now, but let it be a goal that, okay, where we are going, we need this. And then you prioritize it, and then you can get it. Internet access, I've talked about that. Power supply, there are a number of options today. I understand that we have solar here, which is great. Incidentally, this laptop doesn't require too much power to charge it. It's very, it's a small point it will take to charge. So if we need to provide charging points for people around, that will not be too much expense. And for students, of course, they too can be able to improvise and find ways to power their laptops. Only challenge is if your laptop is a desktop. If you understand what in other words, if the battery life is not good, in 1 minute it has run out, then you are in trouble. God will help you. But if at least your battery can last you 2 hours, 3 hours, then you can do a lot. When it's down, you charge it again. Stuff like that. And then capacity building, we need to practice what we know, and then also make effort to learn what we don't know. And then we will do. Okay, thank you. Okay, so let me go some real big issues. I think these are some of the areas where discussions are going on.
Can you break this? It's too tiny.
It's too tiny, but let's see.
Yes, sir.
All right, so there are big issues or discussions going on around spiritual formation in online theological education. You know that This is one of those areas where our work is different from what other people involved in education are doing. In the university, they will not talk about spiritual formation. Even something close to it, even though they don't normally talk about it. Uh, but for us, it's very crucial, it's very, very important. And there are major issues. In fact, many people debate the usefulness of online education um, because of questions around spiritual formation. They say, how can you work towards spiritual formation in online theological education? That is best when we are together. We can see ourselves, we can help ourselves, relationship, um, you know, and that's a good question really to ask. But if we had the alternative, if we have, if one of the options we had was to do without online education, then we'll be very happy to stay with our face-to-face. Who does not like parako? Who does not like socializing? We share together now, eat amala and we together, and drink Coke and Fanta together, and tell stories together and all of that. But it's just that reality on the ground is pushing us beyond that boundary, and we have to start thinking outside the box. And really, several people have started thinking outside the box. And I can tell you that there is a lot of discussion today and a lot of principles and theories and research and experiments that have been done and are being done as we speak in terms of how to improve the spiritual formation in online education. And just last August, I collaborated in writing a course for the ISET Academy titled Strategies for Formation in Online Theological Education. Three of us wrote the course. One, a lady, I think she is it from Hungary? Oh, okay. When I draw something, I will not do it again. I will not do it. So she's European, but she lives in Cameroon, and the other guy is from Zambia. And it was interesting to hear, and then there was another lady that joined us on stage. It was great to hear what different institutions in different countries are already doing to respond to challenges of online education in the area of spiritual formation. And so, a few things I would like to suggest right away. Number one is that we need to be very intentional about it. And we need to have a strategy for achieving it. We need intentionality and we need strategy. In other words, as we are developing our course syllabus for either hybrid or online, we need to think ahead. How do we incorporate spiritual formation strategies into the planning of the course? So that even when the students are not with us, spiritual formation elements can still be going on. And I can give you a number of suggestions. By the way, some of the things we do on site can also be done online. We know that, have you?
Yes.
Some of the things we're already doing on site can be done online. when you come in an on-site class, some of us now have developed the habit of prayer. Have you? At least an opening prayer. Exactly. So when you are meeting with students online, can you still pray? You can pray. Yes, if you are using Zoom or Google Meet or whatever, even on WhatsApp, you can still pray. Okay? Some of us have learned the habit of doing a 5-minute devotion before our classes begin. Have you? Can we still do that in an online setting?
Yes.
Of course, you can still do that. So some of those things that we can do on site, we can still do them online. The practice I've done in the last 4 years is to lead students to read through a book of the Bible during the course of the time that we are meeting. I might choose the Gospel of Mark or the Gospel of or the Epistle to the Romans, and they will read a chapter every week. If it's a full semester work, on site even, they will read a chapter a week, and we will have a forum on the learning management system where they will post their reading, their reaction, their whatever they learn, so others can share from it. That is in on-site classes. In online class, is that possible? Of course, it's possible. Because you are reading it on your own at home. So there are many things that we can do. In the course that we wrote last year, we made a number of other recommendations. And that goes to the second point that I want to make. Number 2, spiritual formation and community. The issue of community. In theological education, it has become an agreement. I mean, like everybody is fully agreed that you cannot talk about spiritual formation outside of community. People grow within a community. All the advantages of face-to-face is what? Community. That you will form a community. A class become a community. You know, that's why somebody will tell you he was my classmate. You stay together for 4 years, you become like a family, a community. And same thing can be replicated even online. But in online education, we now talk about 2 kinds of community. The online community itself and the community where each student is residing. The community of faith that is there. So whereas there are things that students online can do amongst themselves as a class, there are also things that a student that, let's say a student of BCT Oyo, who is in Lagos, he has a church community that he is attending. I mean, a church where he goes to on Sunday. The course can be developed in a way that will keep him going back to church. In other words, every Sunday, let's have a column, let's have a forum on the website where you are using to do the course. Insights from Sunday service. Week 1, week 2, week 3. So that everybody goes to church, their different churches, and wherever they are in the world. And the message that day, or whatever the Lord used to bless them that day in the worship, they do what? They write a little bit about it and post for others to learn and to share. What have you done? You have created a situation where it has become a part of the course for these students to do what? Go to church. You don't want to have an online student who doesn't even go to church. And you know that can happen. If you are not intentional and strategic about it, you can have an online student who is not a member of any church. And then you'll be training the devil to be a pastor. But if you make it a part of your program and course that it's compulsory for them to go to church every Sunday, then you would have also capitalized on the on-site community where they are, as well as the online community amongst themselves. And then, of course, we can also include group work in terms of what we have. Okay. Then I've talked about the devotional component, um, and um, and then there are some courses on ISET Academy. In fact, there are several. If you go to ISET Academy and check on spiritual formation category, they have developed several courses on spiritual formation and theological education. And maybe more than half of them at the moment are on online theological education. Okay. And so these are things that have already been paid for by virtue of your institution's relationship is active. All of us have free access. And over the past weekend, Rector told me that she was doing. How many were you able to do, man? You completed one?
One, halfway for the second.
Halfway for the second one. So, what is Prof looking for again? Knowledge, capacity, increase in her effectiveness and usefulness and contribution. You know? So if Prof is still taking courses and doing things to improve beyond what she already has, then I think all of us should just take that challenge and take the bull by the horn. I write for ISET Academy, but I take several courses still on ISET Academy. There are courses you will see, no, I must take this one. I must take this one. And because people are writing from their areas of expertise, they look for people in the areas of their competence. So they write. You are not competent in everything now. You are competent in some areas, there are areas you are not competent. So you learn, improve yourself, and learn from others. And it's interesting to know that the same things you are doing or trying to do, several other people around the world are trying to do the same thing. And they are trying to do them in ways that are different from the way you are trying to do it. And you can learn a lot from them and learn a lot from what they are doing in order to improve what you two are trying to achieve. That's how we are sharing ideas and growing together as a learning community. So what I'm trying to make is that whereas there is a huge challenge in terms of spiritual formation for online theological education, much of that challenge today has been crossed. Much of that challenge today has been attended to. All we need is to take advantage of the information that is out there and incorporate it into what we are doing so that whether it is a face-to-face or a hybrid or even a full online, when we get there, we will be ready to know how to pursue even spiritual formation in the context of those modes. This one is also a little tiny, but I think that's the last tiny one. Can you see that from afar?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this is about pedagogy in online theological education. Pedagogy in online theological education. How do I start this? You know that when you are, okay, let's say you are driving a manual car, a car that has a manual gear system, right? You start with gear one, Abi. You when you are on gear one, there is a limit to how far you can go, how fast you can go. Of course, there are things that you can't do with gear four that gear one will have to do for you. Okay? But then before you go to gear two, what do? You press your touch and you shift. And you shift gear. And once you shift gear, the engine will respond unless the car has a problem. the engine will respond appropriately and give you what you are looking for. We are all familiar with face-to-face. We schooled in face-to-face. We have taught in face-to-face all our life. Now we are having to change mode to online, either full online or combined online. It means that we also have to change mindset. You have to press your clutch and do what? And shift and change them. Because there are some things that you are doing face to face that will not work online. There are some things that will work, but there are some things that will not work. I've talked about spiritual formation. Now, in terms of pedagogy, it is the same. A number of the things that we do face to face will work in online education, but a number of them will not work. Let's begin with the ones that will work. Number one, we know that unless we are not doing it well, whether it's face to face or online, you have to plan your course in a way that there is correlation. That there is correlation between your course description with the core values of your institution, with the objectives of the course, and with the assessment. We know that, Abby?
Yes.
And it's not just our education experts that should know this. Every teacher needs to do what? Know this. Every teacher needs to do this, know this. And in the seminary, we started a system where all of this will show in the course syllabus, every course syllabus. Mama, are you doing it here already?
Yes.
Okay, that's fine. So at least that forces all of us to remember it. It forces students to remember it. Because every course we are teaching is a part of the whole. There are objectives, there are parts of the big objectives of the institution that this course is supposed to be meeting. If you don't plan it well, the course will be going to Ogomasho when the college is going to Ibadan. So the course planner needs to have all of these things together. What is the description of the course? Because in planning the course description, those that planned this would have thought about the institutional vision and mission before they planned it. So when you are now preparing to teach it, you will now look at that relationship, the course description, the vision, the mission, then your course objectives. How do your course objectives relate to the course description? And I have seen syllabi before that the course description is going south and the objectives are going north. And the content are going east. And the assessment is going west. One old woman at our college in Obiose used to use a word, Jen Jeleke. She would say, this teacher, this lecturer, say his own is Jen Jeleke. Say, I don't understand what he's doing. You know what Jen Jeleke is?
No. I
Yeah, I don't even know how to translate it. It's like
I translate fine. I will translate it for them.
They will translate it.
Yes.
It's like it's neither here nor there. There is no harmony. They've